and thanks for joining us for another episode of Mid-American Gardener. I'm Tanisha Spain, and I'm joined with my friend Martie, and we are going to be talking about all things plants as usual. You've got some things. You know, it's funny, Martie always works in other people's yard.
Yes.
The retired landscaper. But you never talk about your own yard.
These are for me.
These are for you.
I know, I'm so happy.
So, tell us what you brought. And, you know, if I'm at home and I'm watching this and I'm wanting to design a bed or design an area, tell us where to put these and just give us the lowdown.
It's hot.
It's hot.
So I brought a variety of shaded plants.
Because if you're going to work outside.
Might as well work in the shade, people. You need to fry your brain out there. So everybody knows about Hosta. And I've got this little guy, but he won't be little for long. This is Regal Splendor. It's a sport, a variegated sport. You see a little bit of variegation on these leaves, which it gets broader and more creamy looking as it grows. Even the smallest leaves have variegation on them. They all look about the same at this age, but the thing about Crosser Regal and its son, Regal Splendor, is they grow like a vase. They grow like this, and they fountain out like a fountain. Very nice. So you can see the feet of the plant, which is unusual for Hosta, because usually Hosta grow like a biscuit. You know, they grow like a hoop skirt.
All the slugs hang out under there.
They do.
I know. But yeah, you can never see the stem. You know, past springtime.
No, but these are amazing. Not only do they grow like that, but they get huge.
Nice. Like how tall are we talking?
This is a giant variety Hosta, and this one and its parent. They'll get the foliage will get like 3.5 to 4 feet tall. Wow. And then the scapes of the stems of flower stem is called a scape. It comes up, you know, like 2 or 3 feet taller.
Wow.
This thing is impressive.
Nice.
You will see it from the street when it's in the backyard.
Now, next year,
these things are amazing.
Let's say you get this in. Next year, will it be full size, or does it have to kind of grow into its...
Good question, Tanisha.
Thank you.
Question. When you plant perennials, you put them in, you water them well, you mulch them, and then you water them like once a week until it gets cold. And first they sleep, and then they creep, and then they leap. So
nice.
Most
industry
perennials,
term.
that's right. Yeah, no mnemonic we professionals use. Don't try this at home. So yeah, this is just going to be a fantastic plant, and it just doesn't look like too much. But if you read the label, then you'll see how large they get. So it says right on the back, hummingbirds like them. This is how they look when they're bigger.
Very nice.
So you can put this particular Hosta variety in the back of a bed because it's tall and its feet are showing. So you can front plant it with other plant. You can actually front these with something like a small shrub. Oh, wow. Because they're that tall.
Wow.
So
very nice.
So other Hosta or other perennials. Ta-da. Like the ones I brought here.
Surprise.
So I brought some heuchera. Heuchera, we used to be pretty plain, but nowadays they've had just a blast of different kinds of cultivars of heuchera. Because heuchera used to be a little particular, and it's still a little persnickety. But if you plant it at like the soil level here and then mulch it pretty good, that will help. Because it grows out from the crown. It dies back like most perennials do all the way to the ground. But look at this color combination.
Very pretty.
So this
one's
is
gorgeous.
Carnival coffee bean. It's got more of a coppery look when it's actually in the ground, depending. If it gets a little more sun, it'll be a little bit less green, a little more coppery, a little more of a light, pale, peachy orange. And then the back of the leaf is lavender. So when it moves, it's very nice. The light behind these is really nice.
I've got great expectations.
Grape
expectations.
Look at that color.
So pretty.
Oh, I love that color.
So pretty. Now, will this change like more sun it gets? Will it get darker?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it will. I mean, heuchera actually can tolerate sun, but they'll tolerate shade too. Most plants that are classified as shade plants, a fair amount of them prefer shade, but a lot of them will just stand it. you know.
They'll just tolerate it.
And color and shade is really hard to do.
Yes.
Like, especially splashy color like this. So this is Carnival coffee bean. This is in the same family of cultivars. It's this Carnival cinnamon stick. Probably the same people bred these two. They have some other ones. There's a watermelon and I don't know what else.
And just when you think they're similar, you can see the differences in these.
Yeah, look how much larger this one is. This is citronelle. Gets a real pale yellowy cast, lemon yellowy cast. This really needs a drink. I'm so sorry. But you live at my house. It's the rolls the dice and you move your mouth.
Survival of the fittest.
You're not kidding.
Yes, for sure. Now, do these, how do they grow? Will they grow up? Will they grow out? What is their
They'll get a little bit taller than they are now, but they basically form a little hoop skirt.
Okay.
You know.
Very nice.
But plant them closely because they're not rampant spreaders. So, and then at the feet of these, or in between them, I would plant these two little ground covers. This is a juga. Ajuga comes in green and purple and pretty much this one. This one's burgundy glow. It's my favorite because it's got more white for shade, because light colors in the shade is a good idea. You can use dark colors in sun, but in shade it just gets lost.
Sure. And you can already tell how this is spreads out.
Around,
so that's probably what it does on the ground.
Yep, and it roots right there. You see some roots sticking out in the air, and it's still making roots. Oh, fart. This is lamium. This is pink pewter, so it gets little pea-shaped kind of flowers on a little stem here at the leaf axils. It'll bloom pink in addition to being variegated. And this one gets little blue spikes in the spring, little 3 or 4 inch dark bluish purple spikes. And they'll just make a little carpet of color. They're really nice. These are both ground covers, but they are not invasive ground covers. They like just moving around.
We're getting to the trail end of summer, but there's still a lot of time left. And I know people are wondering, is it okay to put these in the ground this late?
Heck yeah.
So tell us how to do that and make sure that they're transplanted and they have a good chance of surviving.
Okay. Loosen the soil, make the hole twice as big as the pot. So half again is wide, like from here to here. Loosen the bottom, make it shallower is better than too deep. Too deep it will die because they'll smother. So put them in there. When you pull the plant out of the pot, go like this and mess all the roots up. See, I'm gonna really have to plant this now.
You've disturbed it.
Yeah, I just made a big mess here. But
just give them a good
drink.
Put them
in there. Water them the night before, which is really a good idea. Then mulch them like 3 inches deep, water them again, get the mulch wet, and then water them like once a week after that, and they should do just fine. These are pretty hardy guys. I mean, these are perennials to zone 4. So Chicago,
so still a lot of time left.
Wisconsin.
Still a lot of warm, sunny days.
Oh, heck yeah. It's going to be, the ground won't freeze until December. I mean, and the air might be cold, but the roots still grow as long as the ground isn't frozen. So if the ground like 45, 50 degrees, roots are still growing. And that's really the part you think about last, but it's the most important thing.
Now, you did not mention fertilizer. So.
Oh, no, I don't fertilize in the fall.
Okay.
Don't fertilize in the fall.
Not even on a transplant?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good to know.
No, especially not on a transplant. If you do, it's too much.
Okay. Noted.
It's like you don't feed a newborn,
a Big Mac.
Yes. Or even the bun.
I'm hungry, so that's where that came from.
I see that.
So you know what? We do adventures on this show. And so DJ Taylor and I went on this super fun adventure to this place called Fresh Press. This paper, so it's a studio, it's a paper making studio, and they make this out of plant waste. So see how I brought it back to the
carrots?
show? Well, no. Miscanthus. This one is Miscanthus. So anywho, we are so proud of this show. So take a look at this segment and enjoy.
My name is Eric Benson. I'm an associate professor of graphic design here at the School of Art and Design, University of Illinois. And Fresh Press is a studio I started 12 years ago. And here we make paper by hand out of agricultural waste from the local area. We don't use trees, that's the big thing, and instead we kind of went back in time, right, in terms of how people made paper back in the day. So we're using agriculture. So we work with a student farm here, and we're getting things like corn, rye, hemp, prairie grass, and we follow a very similar process to commercial paper making, right?
Interesting.
And it's on the back wall here. You can see the whole way it's done. It's just that we do it by hand. We get the stuff from the field, the harvest, you might want to call it, and we have to chip it down. Once we chip it, we can cook it, and that makes it, more malleable, and we can put it in our beater here. And then we go through the pulling and pressing and drying process.
Okay, so now we're at the third step, which is beating, pulp the fibers, and we're here with Meredith and E, both studio managers here. So tell us a little bit about this step and what we're going to be doing and why it's important in the process.
Okay, so we've already chipped and cooked this miscanthus, which is a prairie grass, and we're going to use a Hollander beater, which macerates the pulp. It macerates the fiber and turns it into a pulp by using this, it's like a water wheel of blades. It'll spin around and move the miscanthus through the machine for about, I think 2 hours gets us a really nice paper. So what it's doing is opening up the fibers. They've already been cooked for 3 hours. So that opens up the cellulose fibers and allows the papers to adhere to each other. And this is going to beat them to a pulp.
Literally.
And, yes, literally, that's what's happening here.
Now it's my turn. I put on my boots, gloves, and apron and gave it a shot.
Let's make some paper. Okay, so we just finished the beating, and now we're gonna actually pull sheets of paper from this.
Yes, so you're gonna take a mold and decal. You might have heard like fancy paper has a deckled edge. This is the tool that gives you that deckled edge. So you'll hold these in your hand and dunk them into the vat at a 45-degree angle, and then pull it straight up. And you do the little shimmy, kind of like you're panning for, yes. Okay. But first you want to hog the vat. Okay. So you spread your fingers wide and bring them down to the bottom and shake everything up so that the fibers are evenly suspended.
Now let's see if I can get this one. So we're gonna scoop toward me.
Yeah.
All right.
And just dunk it in and pull it right up and give it a little shake as the water drains. That was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, all right.
After twisting their arms just a little, Taylor and DJ agreed to step in front of the camera to try their hand at papermaking.
Nice. I don't know, Tanisha, she might have you beat. Nice, that looks really good. Bravo, bravo.
Once you pull your sheet of paper, you can really get creative and make it your own, adding flowers, dyed pulp, and even a pattern to give it some edge.
Are people surprised with all that you can do?
I think so. I think so, yeah. There's always gasps of joy that happen in workshops because I think that we're missing a lot of this analog, being in touch with making and slowing down. So yeah, this is a moment that can bring us back in touch with that. I also think that it's a very accessible art making technique because you could do it at home with a dumpy blender from Goodwill, or you could do it here with this Hollander beater, but also you can approach it and never have done it before and succeed in doing something in just one workshop. You can add a lot more chemistry and do something very specific.
And now, we press.
So Eric, you join us again for the final step. So after you press all the water out, you bring them back here and then tell us what happens.
So we will take the wet sheets and we will layer them on these blotters and stack them up, and we'll end up putting them into the dry box where there's some fans, and that air and these cotton blotters will soak the water out, and then you can have the finished sheet.
And that's the finished sheet.
Yeah.
Now how long does that take? Once it's in the drying box, how long does it have to stay in there?
I would say a good average would be like 12 hours.
What made you want to get into this? What brought in the farm waste, the agricultural waste? How did these two ideas come together for you?
Well, I think it was just living in Illinois, right? I moved here from Austin, Texas, and how do I adjust to living in the Midwest? And so driving down the highway, I-57 up to Chicago, right, you see corn and soybeans and prairie grass, right? So I just started to embrace the land, and that led me here.
Okay, so this is your studio, right, E? And I'm looking here at all the paper here. This looks familiar. Looks like kind of what we just did.
It is.
The pulp painting. And you were talking earlier about how you incorporate a lot of this paper, a lot of these elements into your own art. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this is the pulp painting technique that we were doing earlier, just with a larger grid. And then I bring it into these sculptural collages. And I also incorporate, so this is handmade paper and a little bit of pigmented paper from printmaking. And these scraps that I find, these are like pieces of graffiti I've peeled off of a building, other found objects like rocks. So I'm really interested in including the found objects with the paper that's also made of all of these other materials.
What is your long-term hope for this? You know, what's the dream here?
I'd love to replace tree fiber paper with the type of paper that we're making. That's a big goal, but in the meantime, I feel like I'm a community engaged scholar where I invite the community to the studio and I teach them about land stewardship and paper making.
We had so much fun at that studio making paper. So shout out to the team at Fresh Press for letting us come by. Can you believe that
These are
out
the
of plant
coolest.
waste?
Yes.
And his
the
goal,
colors.
his goal is to get us away from trees, away from having to use trees at all. But you can use miscanthus, a grass. You can use corn. You can use rye. Yes. Oh, thank you. An enormous blade.
An enormous blade of
So
grass
guess which
is what
one's
it is,
mine?
yeah.
Can you tell? One's mine, one's DJ's, and one's Taylor's.
This one's my favorite.
Well, that one's mine, so duh.
Oh.
But it was so cool to see this go from a garbage bag full of chipped grass and turn it into paper. It was neat. So,
Did they cook it or
yes. Oh, there's a
saw?
whole process.
Oh yeah, because I've
Yes.
never.
Yeah, there's a whole process. All right.
This is neat. This
Some
is
folks
really
have
neat.
questions for you, Marty.
I mean,
We've
this
got some
really
treats.
feels like paper.
It is. I know.
Really
You're.
remarkable.
Yeah. Imagine my surprise when we made it. All right, we've got 3 questions for you before we wrap up.
Okay.
So Jan Cooper writes in that she has a smoke tree, which I didn't even know what that was until today. She says the leaves are turning brown with spots and any new growth that comes turns brown. And so she's wanting to know what is going on with her smoke tree and can it be saved?
Okay, smoke trees are smoke bushes till they get taller. And they're smoke trees.
So this is a grown-up.
It's a big old big one, yeah.
Got it.
I have noticed these are a lot like lilacs or viburnum. When they attain a certain size, you'll lose some growth in them because they're just
It's
they're
supposed
just so
to be
big.
a shrub.
Yeah, and they're
Gotcha.
I mean it's very upright and they are gorgeous when they're blooming. They come in a lot of different colors, really purple and golden, really really pretty. I'm going to say the summer was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And the pictures you sent don't look like Japanese beetle damage, but what might have happened to the tips is cicadas.
Oh, depending on where you are, that could be.
I don't know. We need Jim Appleby here to tell us
Jim Appleby
whether
on the
or
case.
not they'll do that, because cicadas will go to a large woody plant, typically a tree, but these are these will get to be 10, 12 feet tall. So essentially a small tree. And they go in the tender new shoots, they cut a slit, and they lay their eggs. So when you're driving around in town, well, not really in town even, because there wasn't a bunch going
I look
on.
for those branches.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, cicadas were there.
Yeah. If you're
can
going
tell.
down the road on a country road and you see there's a stand of trees and all the tips seem to be brown and miserable, that's what happened. The cicadas came out.
Do you think she could save this, or do you think it's a goner?
Sure. No. I would probably prune it back a little bit. I mean, like I said, the summer was brutal dry. I don't know if she waters much. I don't.
Okay.
Unless something looks like it's going to croak, I don't water it. I let it adapt. But prune out the dead. You might even reduce it a little, but not dramatically this time of year.
Okay.
But I definitely prune off the dead. And if it's not mulch, mulch it. Like I said, 3 or 4 inches thick. Especially a larger plant like that can take a thicker mulch.
All right.
And put a hose on it, trickle a pencil-sized stream for an hour. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, give it a drink.
Give it a good drink. All right, next. Mary Jane Cleland writes in, I'm hoping you can help. I bought 2 very small hibiscus plants in the spring, planted them, and they got all day sun and daily watering, unless it rains. She has lots of buds forming on the tree, but they do not open.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts there? Even with some pruning, more buds form, but no blooms.
Okay. I'm going to say, not seeing it, but I'm going to say that probably there's more water than the plant needs.
Oh.
I'm going to say, again, mulch, so important in the summer because it evens out, the moisture doesn't go up and down. It evens it out. It holds moisture. Once you water, it holds it in there, and the moisture stays even for the plant roots. It doesn't struggle because it's dry and then drown because it's wet. It struggles and back and forth and back and forth. So I would say once a week deep watering is plenty. Sometimes the buds will mummify. That's what they call it. You see a little color, but they look pitiful. And they're like,
they just end up on the ground.
They won't go. So keep pruning off the bad ones, but yeah, it is its first year, which is kind of, I don't know. I find that a little odd, but I think probably backing off the water to once a week, twice at the absolute most. If the plant's mulched and it's not flagging, if the leaves aren't drooping, we call that flagging, then don't water it. It's okay.
Okay. All right. We've got one more question. Let's see if we can get this one. This is about the maple tree.
Yes.
She is having all sorts of trouble with this maple in her yard. So you thumbed through the pictures here.
I did.
What are you seeing?
Well, what I see is the bark peeling off of this maple at the bottom, and I also see where it was planted, and it's got some roots coming right up close to it, which says to me possibly the tree was planted with the burlap or the cage still on it, and then the roots will follow the path of least resistance. And I've planted trees for a long, long time. People say, oh, the roots will go through that big wire basket. No, they won't.
Not unless they have to.
No, they won't. They will follow the path of least resistance. And that means that the roots don't go out the way they need to. They stay in a ball like that. And they don't have what they need. Also, I see some landscape fabric. Which is not a friend in a lot of cases. You need to not get that close to the trunk. It allows water to go in, but it doesn't allow water to come back out. And this tree, frankly, looks like it might be drowning.
Okay. Would you, now quickly though, is she able to save it, or would you take this one down? Because she's worried about it falling.
So that bark is peeling pretty bad, pretty
Take it
low.
down.
I would probably remove it
Okay.
and plant another one and do a better job than whoever planted that one.
All right. That's the show, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming in and bringing in your shady plants. You can send us an email to yourgarden@gmail.com if you've got questions, and we will get them read on an upcoming show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.